dear Capricorns. I'm doing a reading for the week of June 30th, July 1st. I took a break last week because of some community obligations that were a lot of fun and demanded a lot of time. Now I'm back. So this is for next week. Capricorn, what I get from you, the first thing that when I talk to Spirit and say, what's the energy right now? What I get is a certain sweetness, a certain tenderness, and a real appreciation of things that are natural, things that are beautiful. And when I say natural, it's not just nature, although that can be very much part of it for you. It's also nature in terms of, or natural in terms of somebody being natural and authentic. Now, in conjunction with that, what I'm also getting is that you do have a certain standard of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And in your desire to not be super critical, sometimes what you do is you don't say what's on your mind. And what you can do instead is kind of pull inward and get really quiet and not communicate. And that can be okay if the relationship already has a really grounded understanding. But if it's a fairly new relationship, or if there's a lot of other people in the mix around a particular issue, it can get a little bit tricky because you can come off sometimes as moody or aloof. And what you're doing is you're kind of guarding yourself from maybe saying the wrong thing or triggering something. So what you're being asked for this next period of time, and of course I say the date is the week of June 30th, the week July 1st. But whenever you hear this, whenever you read this, starting as of today, this might be relevant for you, either in a specific situation or just in a general mode of being. You're being asked to consider when you go into a state like that, you're in a state of resistance. So what does a state of resistance mean? It means on some level, you are not accepting that a situation is the way it is or a person is the way they are in a way where you can be okay with it and kind of let it go. Now, that's not a criticism. Sometimes what that means is you've reached a point where addressing an issue can be very important for you. And not just important in terms of getting you out of resistance, but important because often resistance is really a sign that there is potential for growth in yourself and or in a relationship. So you're being asked, okay, notice where you feel resistance. And do as much as you can to be neutral. Carry a neutral energy. Take a lighter approach. Don't take things personally, in other words, at this point. Try to let them kind of float by you and just observe. And you do your very best not to have an opinion or a judgment about it. Okay? The feeling that I'm getting along with this is it's really also about you honoring what is right for you, what works for you, without necessarily coming into it as though you have the answer and because I feel this, it's right. But it's owning your potential, your option, and your right to really stand for what is going to be good for you. So if, for example, in a relationship, somebody is constantly being negative, or not even constantly, but is being particularly negative and grating in a way that kind of, kills your vibe and brings you down. Notice your resistance to that. Now then say, okay, if I'm neutral about it, if I don't judge this person for it, if I really stay out of an opinion about it, what would make me feel better? It might be choosing not to be around this person. It might be finding a way to neutrally address what's going on. Sometimes what happens is, in situations like that, when you don't speak, you kind of go into overwhelm, and that can lead to a kind of shutdown and a walk away, and that's what can lead to the aloofness. So Capricorn, it's really being suggested for you over this next little period of time to look at that and have I want to say have faith, but really trust the fact that just because it's been this way, and it may have been this way for a long time, and it may have been the way you've dealt with yourself your whole life, just because of that doesn't mean it has to be continued. This might be a trigger that, or a response to an event or events or a way of being when you were younger, when you were a child, and that was the only way you knew how to deal with conflict. Well, now what you're being shown, of course, is you have the ability to be your own hero in this, to step up before you go into that sense of overwhelm where you find yourself really resisting it. You can feel that initial resistance and understand that's a boundary now. Something is being triggered. Where does it come from? What do you want to do about it? How do you need to feel better? Is it something you can just let go because it's habit to have been that way? Or is it something that you need to address? But you're being told, look at cognitive distortions. Just because something is and has been doesn't mean it always will be. You don't necessarily need to isolate yourself. You can be your own hero in this. And in this case, my lovely Capricorns, it's learning how to honor your tender heart in a way where you don't have to become aloof. Stay neutral as much as you can. Do your best not to have a negative opinion about somebody. That does not mean you don't discern what works for you and what doesn't. Okay, Capricorn? So you're really being encouraged to notice that, to pay attention to that. And again, you've got the intuition card here too. And that, for me, in its placement in this spread, and from the pack that it comes from, it really speaks to the idea of understanding that you are a part of something much bigger. You're in connection to the universe, as is everybody else. There is a dialogue going on. And when you find yourself getting really focused in on a situation that is very personality driven, ego driven, can you step back a little bit and connect back into nature and connect back into whatever image, vision, paradigm you work with that expands your consciousness and the consciousness of everybody else, and understand it from more of a universal consciousness perspective. Because that will help you stay neutral and have no negative opinion, while at the same time being able to discern and be your own hero. Okay? That's it, Capricorn. Take care.